interestingly enough, just a couple of weeks ago, there was a media summit that was hosted in Vancouver. And at that media summit, the president of the Canadian Media Producers Association said from the stage, just before the Prime Minister took it, he said, quote, "Prime Minister, know that every person in this room and the 180,000 people who work in this industry have your back, just as we know you have ours." Minister, this is from a media organization in a room full of media folks directly to the Prime Minister saying, we have your back just as we know you have ours. Minister, that's not the role of the media. The role of the media is not to have the back of the Prime Minister and to be able to tell the story that the government wants told. The role of the media is to be truthful in storytelling, to report the news as Canadians deserve to have it told. When a statement like this is made, it chips away at the credibility of media, and it actually distorts the trust of Canadians that you just spoke about being important. What do you make of that?
Well, what I make of your statement, Ms. Thomas, is you're deeply incorrect in the premise that, first of all, the event itself took place in Ottawa. It was not members, it was in CTV, CBC. It was producers of shows. And those two executives, let's just correct the record.
Let's correct the record. It was news as well. In fact, the head of the CBC was one of the key speakers at this event.
What was said at the event, Ms. Thomas, from producers of shows like Heated Rivalry that was discussed at length, was that in the trade negotiations, these people that are defending Canadian content had the Prime Minister's back. It wasn't CBC or independent journalists.
Their job, with all due respect,
false.
Minister, their job is to report on those trade negotiations. And so if you're reporting on those trade negotiations, you just simply report the facts. You don't have the Prime Minister's back.
The job of these people is
That's
to make shows.
That's an illegitimate use of media.
Like these are producers. They make shows. It's not. They don't. It wasn't.
Minister, you're misleading the committee. It was not just producers. That was part of it.
The two speakers were head of an organization that talk about media producers.
These are folks who are receiving government dollars, who are producing material that is making it out to the Canadian public. They are telling stories, and they are telling the Prime Minister, "We have your back, just as you have ours."
They are telling the Prime Minister in the context of being under threat from U.S. content coming into Canada, that they want to protect a pillar of our cultural identity, which is Canadian content. That's all they were saying.
They tell stories.
I think you're wrong, and I
Their
think you know
job is to tell stories. So how are they going to tell stories to protect the Prime Minister's back?
They want support financially to be able to tell stories about Canadian identity, whether it's good or bad about the Prime Minister.
But they're saying they also have the Prime Minister's back. So how are they going to have his back?
I think you're making this up. Like, I really think this is something you're looking for, something where there is not
a direct quote from the individual who spoke.
But you're insinuating that it's journalists that are going to spin stories positively for the Prime Minister because they quote unquote have his back. That's entirely false. These are producers of shows like The Littlest Hobo, for God's sake.